Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Victoria Tundu and Abiola.
Good morning.
Yes. Let's start the review straight away with this day. Nigeria's newspaper of record. Just look at two stories there. Before the lead story, story above the lead. Pregnant woman abducted in Kaduna-bound train delivers in captivity. Terrorists release new photos of over 62 kidnapped passengers. Insists on freedom for apprehended commanders. Yes, a government that cannot protect you while you are traveling. Will that government be able to negotiate your way to freedom? That is the challenge before President Muhammadu Buhari. But these are not the only ones in captivity. Many who have been kidnapped in the past, schoolgirls, schoolboys, are still in captivity. Nobody seems to be talking about them these days. So I wonder how the government will negotiate this Kaduna-bound train captives and the others who are also still in captivity. It's a big headache President Buhari must deal with. And I hope these captives will not be in captivity by May 29 when he leaves, next year when he leaves office, because that would be a very sad tale. Now, the lead story, Osinbajo, I have decided to run. I owe no one else any allegiance. Says oath sworn only to Nigeria. Boast he will hit the ground running. He is eminently qualified to be president, declares Dakpo Abiodun, the governor of Ogun State, who has pitched his tent on the side of the vice president. May you come back to my palace as president. The Alake of Egbaland prays. This is more than the normal prayer monarchs give to all aspirants who visit them. They wish others well. But to pray that may you come back as president, it means the Alake is firm and definite in its support for an indigene of Ogun State. But for those who are still clamoring, talking about betrayal and others, I think the vice president has said it all. And there's a quote there which I may just read. After all I have learned, if called upon to serve the nation, should I say no? Prof, you don't say no. You have thrown your heart into the ring. You have said yes. I have decided that I will run for the office. I have sworn an oath to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is not an oath to our people, our children. It is an oath to our people, our children, and the future of Nigeria. I owe nobody else allegiance outside the oath. Good talk, because recall that in the past, we heard of a certain pastor who was asked to sign a resignation letter if he wants to be vice president. Apparently, this vice president did not sign any letter. So he's bold, courageous as he pursues his ambition to replace his boss, President Muhammadu Buhari. I think that's the only boss he has right now. Anybody who has helped him along the line, somewhere, somebody always helps somebody. And I always remember and try to remind the followers of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, top politician in his own right, a top contender to pick the APC ticket, that sometime in the past, you were helped also when you were given a free ticket when you did not win to become the governor of Lagos State. So what else can be bigger than that? For those in Asiwaju's camp who are afraid of the vice president's entry, I think there's no need for that. Let the contest begin. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has the political sagacity to find his way. If he doesn't get the APC ticket, it will not be because Professor Osinbajo also ran. It must be because of other factors. But The race is getting interesting. Let the music play, as they say. Now, the Guardian newspaper, another entrant into the presidential race. Ayade joins presidential race to withdraw if Jonathan declares. PDP leaders decline comment on Jonathan's rumored defection to APC. Don't ignore calls to contest. You are APC's trump card. Group charges Jonathan. Tambuwa meets Buhari, shuns press after visit. Buhari hosts APC leaders to break Ramadan fast. Tinubu absent in Saudi Arabia for spiritual consultation. He needs a lot of that. Bello pays 100 million naira to pick APC's presidential form today. I may withdraw from race if presidency is not zoned to the southeast, says Oji Kalu. Well, Ayade in the race, but there's already a caveat. If Jonathan joins the race, he will withdraw. Will Jonathan move to APC and get their ticket? The speculation is there in the air. Is there any truth to that? Well, former President GEJ, as they call him, has not helped matters because he has not denied, he has not confirmed anything. But let's see what will happen. And those who are behind the call for Jonathan to join APC and run, there are two governors in the north are the ones said to be the kingpins of this move. But let's see how it pans out. Now, the Punch newspaper, presidency, Obi's camp protest as PDP dumps Zodin. Screening begins Friday. It will be injustice if Southeast is denied PDP ticket. Obi's spokesman, Nigeria needs a nationalist, not a regional leader. Atiku's aide. We can't stop any presidential aspirants. It's unconstitutional. PDP is saying. We've always known where the PDP was heading to as a party. Throw it open. Let somebody from the north pick the ticket. Then we're sure of a victory. That is the thinking among many bigwigs in the PDP. But as for the Southeast, we'll continue to throw our weight behind the Southeast. That for fairness, equity, inclusiveness, national reconciliation that started since 1970 when the Civil War ended. A Nigerian of Southeast extraction should be the next president. But the politicians have their way. Candidates they present to Nigerians, Nigerians will decide. Daily Trust, APC ticket, two northern governors behind Jonathan's return bid. Ayade meets Buhari, says, I will step down for ex-president. We are waiting for final signal. Bayelsa Elder. Lawyers differ on legal obstacles. The New Telegraph newspaper, Northern Middle Belt Youth petition US-UK. Over insecurity in northern Nigeria, one town hall meeting convened by both governments on religious rights issues in the region. Generation Next asks US to return Nigeria to a list of countries of peculiar concern. The Nation newspaper, terrorist releases photo of 62 train attack hostages. Family members demand action from National Security Advisor, identify abducted relatives. While the Daily Independent, criminal gangs planning to bomb worship centers, DSS is alerting. Terrorists releases new photo of abducted train passengers. Well, if the DSS has this intelligence, I hope they will prevent this from happening, not telling the rest of us to become security men overnight. Now, if we just look at the foreign newspapers quickly before I come over to you. The Daily Telegraph of UK, Sunak faces cabinet pressure to cut tax. Yes, Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, is being urged to tackle cost of living crisis by shoring financial burden on the public. Is eased. One way to do that, they are saying, is to cut tax. After all, Mrs. Sunak does not pay tax in the UK. She does so elsewhere. Now, the Times of London, Russia threatened strikes against Western targets. Kremlin's top diplomat blames NATO for engaging in proxy war. Yes. The Kremlin is threatening to launch retaliatory strikes on Western targets yesterday as British support for attacks on Russian territory risk escalating the conflict outside Ukraine borders. Yes, and the Wall Street Journal also reporting that story from a different perspective. Russia says NATO is fighting proxy war with rising risk. And of course, Sergei Lavrov, the top diplomat of Russia, is saying that they could escalate into a global war. When the West starts helping Ukraine to enter Russia, it could escalate into a global war with nuclear weapons being used. Ruben, Rufai, and Tundu.
Well, I don't think we still have plenty of time to do plenty of talk. But I wanted to draw attention to what is happening to Aung San Suu Kyi, who has been sentenced to a jail term of 5 years as a result of the fact that the judicial system is controlled by the military in our country. She won a landslide election victory in 2020, but the military seized power in April 2021. And she's been under, a great accusation, intimidation since then. Now she's been sentenced to a 6-year term of imprisonment on the grounds that she collected money and some gold bags, gold bars from, the head of the biggest city in the country. And of course, we all know that this is state managed and an attempt by the military junta to justify their seizure of power.
But she also looked the other way when the Rohingyas were being massacred.
I feel for her, but she has lost her moral credibility.
Did she win the election? Was the landslide victory real? Are the military leaders right to come around and say there was massive electoral fraud? Don't forget that in that country, there have always been issues with regard to the military always wanting to hold on to power. And I think that the international community should take an interest.
No, they won't, though. You recall how she was stripped of practically every honor, stripped of honorary citizenship that she'd been bestowed on when she was the West darling because of the way she capitulated. Now, I'm not judging her or condemning her. I think she was trying to, first, self-preservation is the first law of nature. But look at how the tiger has eventually consumed her as well. She's actually looking at a total, if they decide to throw the book at her, of 190 years in jail. So sad. After all that capitulation, she's still consumed by them.
Anyway, Aung San Suu Kyi, somebody would have thought that she should be wiser than all of this, but it's apparent that she's not. This was somebody that was under house arrest for many years.
She was scared.
In fighting for the liberation of Burma. Finally, she did a deal with the military. This same military that kept her in incarceration for so many years. This same military that she knows that is not trustworthy. And apart from that, she perpetrated a Rakhine crime with the military because, you see, she didn't just look away. Let's not forget, she went to defend it. No, she went to defend it at the Hague.
It was awful what she did.
If she did that...
But I think she was afraid. I think she was just so scared.
I will not give Aung San Suu Kyi an easy passing because what she stood for, she could have continued to stand for it.
Well, I always give the benefit of the doubt.
They had decimated her already.
I think she was scared.
She was under house arrest for over 20 years.
I'm tempted not to blame the victim.
Oh, no.
I'm not tempted to blame the victim.
But this has to be recalled.
This was a hero of democracy. This was a Nobel Peace Prize winner.
But she's a human being. That's a horrible thing to say.
Sorry.
That is a nasty thing to say.
So what happens to the Rakhine people?
Just hold on. The situation in Myanmar right now is a problematic situation, whether with regard to the rights of Muslims, the Rohingya Muslims,
Muslims, yes.
Yes, or to other situations in the country. And the international community should take an interest because there has been a derailment of democracy in that country. And blaming the victim will not solve the problem. Thank you very much, Emmanuel.